Hello, and welcome to Global Intelligence Weekly Wrap-Up for the week ending June 21st, 2024. I'm Neil Bisson, your host and a retired intelligence officer with the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. I am also the director of Global Intelligence Knowledge Network. Each week, we break down the latest in headlines, offering insights into national security, foreign interference, espionage, and terrorism. Before we dive into today's stories, I want to emphasize how essential your support is in helping us to continue to deliver high-quality, insightful content. If you enjoy our podcast, please visit our website at www.globalintelligenceknowledgenetwork.com. There you'll find a wealth of information including articles, blogs, my media appearances, and dossiers on various intelligence agencies. We also run a YouTube channel called Inside Intelligence GIKN, where you can explore videos on a range of topics from cryptocurrency and terrorism to situational awareness, and our multi-part series on Killer Spies, the Dark Side of Intelligence. Don't forget to subscribe and stay updated. Additionally, I co-host another podcast called Spies Like Us with fellow retired intelligence professionals Al Tredenik and Phil Gursky. We dive into current intelligence topics both within Canada and globally. It's a fascinating listen, and I recommend you check it out. Make sure to subscribe to Global Intelligence Weekly Wrap-Up on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or simply ask your smart speaker to play it. If you enjoy the content, please leave a comment, give us a rating, and share it with others. Your feedback and support are vital in keeping the lights on and the information flowing. You can also support the show by becoming a supporter at buzzsprout.com/233-6717/support. Your contributions are greatly appreciated and helps to keep us continue bringing you these important insights. All the links to the mentioned platforms and resources are included in the text of this podcast. Thank you for your support. Now let's dive into this week's episode of Global Intelligence Weekly Wrap-Up. Today we're diving into significant development in Canada's efforts to combat foreign interference. The topic of discussion is the recent unanimous approval of Bill C-70 by the House of Commons. The article we're referencing is titled, Foreign Interference, Bill Gets Unanimous Final Passage in the House of Commons. Let's start with a brief summary of this landmark legislation. The House of Commons has unanimously passed Bill C-70, also known as Countering Foreign Interference Act. This comprehensive bill aims to create a foreign agent registry, expand intelligence gathering powers, and introduce new criminal offenses to address foreign interference. From an intelligence perspective, this bill is significant. It empowers Canadian intelligence agencies like CSIS and the RCMP with enhanced tools to detect and counter foreign influence operations. The creation of a foreign agent registry is a crucial step, as it mandates that individuals working with foreign powers must register their activities, thereby increasing transparency and accountability. To provide some context, this legislation comes amid increasing pressure on the Liberal government to address threats to diaspora communities and Canada's electoral process. A recent report from the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, or NSICOP, highlighted concerning allegations that some parliamentarians might be knowingly or unknowingly collaborating with foreign governments. Additionally, an interim report by Quebec Justice Marie-Josée Hogue found that China meddled in at least the last two Canadian elections. Although this interference did not alter the outcome of the 2019 and 2021 votes, it did undermine the democratic process. Comparing this to similar trends globally, we see that foreign interference is a growing concern for many democracies, with similar measures being implemented in countries like the United States and Australia. The bill has garnered support from various political parties, with the Conservatives advocating for the fast-tracking to be placed before the next election in 2025. However, it has faced criticism from 14 civil liberty groups, including the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, which argue that the bill is overly broad and rushed, with potential charter issues that need addressing. In my professional analysis, the bill is simply a first step on a long road to ensure that Canadian democratic process maintains its integrity and that Canadians maintain a level of confidence in the system. Bill C-70 is far from a silver bullet in combating the national security threat of foreign interference, but if implemented properly, will help Canadians and politicians understand and combat this issue. To summarize, Bill C-70 represents a pivotal step in Canada's fight against foreign interference. Its provisions aim to bolster our intelligence capabilities and protect the integrity of our democratic processes. In the next story, we look at how diplomacy continues despite the threat of foreign interference in Canada and beyond. The news article is titled "Canada to Continue Diplomacy with Alleged Foreign Interference Actors, Jolie," which explores Canada's diplomatic stance towards nations accused of meddling in the democratic institution. Let's dive into the details. Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly has made it clear that Canada will continue to engage in diplomacy with countries accused of foreign interference, especially China and India. This decision comes amid ongoing public inquiry into allegations of meddling in the 2019 and 2021 elections by these nations. From an intelligence perspective, this approach of maintaining diplomatic channels while addressing interference threats is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it allows for open communication and the potential to resolve issues through dialogue. On the other hand, it requires careful balancing to ensure that Canada's national security is not compromised in the process. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has identified China as a significant threat to Canadian democracy. Despite this, Jolie emphasizes the importance of diplomacy as a means to convey difficult messages and reduce tensions. To provide some background, the urgency of this issue has been underscored by the recent NCCOP report that alleged some Canadian parliamentarians may be collaborating with foreign governments knowingly or otherwise. This report has added fuel to the ongoing inquiry into foreign interference, particularly focusing on China and India. Historically, Canada's diplomatic relations with China have been strained, especially following the expulsion of Zhao Wei, the former Chinese consul general in Toronto, who was accused of intimidating a Canadian MP. With India, the situation is further complicated by allegations that agents of Prime Minister Modi's government were involved in the murder of Sikh leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar in British Columbia. Minister Jolie pointed to several actions that demonstrate Canada's firm stance against foreign interference. These include the expulsion of Chinese diplomats and continued engagement with India despite serious allegations. She also highlighted the necessity of diplomacy in addressing these complex issues, arguing that it is the best way to manage tensions and convey difficult messages. From my professional viewpoint, while diplomacy is crucial, it must be complemented by robust counterintelligence measures to safeguard national security. The balance between engaging with foreign powers and protecting democratic institutions is delicate and requires continuous vigilant effort. To summarize, Canada's decision to continue diplomatic engagements with nations accused of interference like China and India underscores the complexity of modern international relations. While diplomacy is essential, it must be part of a broader strategy that includes strong intelligence and security measures. Looking forward, we can expect Canada to deepen its relations with other critical partners in the Indo-Pacific region, which will be vital for maintaining a balanced and secure foreign policy. Canada's foreign policy focus on countries outside of India and China will allow for a more leveraged position on the world stage and demonstrate that Canada takes the threat of foreign interference seriously. This does not mean that the current diplomatic back channels with India and China should be discarded. In fact, it's just the opposite. By maintaining political diplomatic communications with China and India, Canada has a better understanding of what their intentions are and can gauge if they are truly working to improve the international relationship or simply providing face time with Canadian politicians and embassy staff. Sticking with the foreign interference in government, we dive into yet another crucial and often overlooked aspect of foreign interference: financial meddling. Information provided in a recent opinion article entitled "Why is the Hague Commission Overlooking Foreign Meddling Through the Financial System?" from the Globe and Mail. Let's find out why Foreign Interference Commission needs to follow the money and how this impacts our national security. Foreign interference is a topic that continues to dominate headlines, and rightly so. Recently, allegations have emerged that some of our parliamentarians may have accepted money and perks from foreign actors, notably China and India. The big question on everyone's mind: why isn't the Hague Commission looking into financial meddling more closely? The article outlines alarming revelations from the NCCOP report and the Hague Commission report. Both documents suggest that foreign interference through financial systems is a significant threat that hasn't been sufficiently addressed. From an intelligence perspective, financial transactions often provide the most concrete evidence of foreign interference. Money trails can expose the who, where, and how of foreign influence operations. If the Canadian intelligence community and Canada's national law enforcement follows the money, we can identify and disrupt these operations more effectively. Let's put this into context. History has shown us that financial flows are integral to foreign interference. Just look at examples from France, where Marine Le Pen far-right party received substantial loans from a Russian bank. Similar cases have been reported in Italy and the UK. These instances illustrate how financial meddling can influence political landscape and elections. In Canada, The allegations are equally troubling. Reports indicate that funds from foreign entities were funneled through intermediate and support political candidates. These financial operations were often disguised to conceal their origins, making them difficult to trace without proper resources and oversight. The article quotes NCCOP's findings, revealing that some parliamentarians have accepted funds knowingly and through willful blindness. This is a damning accusation that warrants immediate and thorough investigation. From my professional experience, remuneration is one of the primary motivations for foreign operatives. The lack of adequate funding for departments tasked with investigating these issues hampers our ability to combat this threat effectively. We need to allocate more resources to financial intelligence units like the Financial Transactions and Reports Analysis Centre of Canada and the Office of Superintendent of Financial Institutions. To sum up, the Hague Commission must expand its mandate to include a thorough investigation of financial meddling. Understanding and tracking financial transactions related to foreign interference is crucial for safeguarding our democratic institutions. The government's reaction to these findings will be telling. Will they bolster the resources of national security departments, or will they continue to overlook this critical issue? Only time will tell, but we must remain vigilant and demand transparency and accountability. In this next article from the CBC, we look at a significant topic making waves in Canadian politics: Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's recent comments on the NCCOP report and its implications. This was covered by a CBC article titled, "Trudeau Says Canadians Be Wary of Leaders Who Say Foreign Interference Hasn't Touched Their Teams." Let's start with a summary of the article. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in an exclusive interview with CBC's Power and Politics, suggested that Canadians should be cautious of political leaders who claim their parties are untouched by foreign interference. This comment seems to be directed at NDP's leader Jagmeet Singh, who, after reading the classified unredacted NCCOP report, assured reporters that his party was not compromised. The NCCOP report, which is central to the discussion, revealed that some parliamentarians were witting or semi-witting participants in foreign interference efforts. Trudeau emphasized the need for thorough processes before making accusations, suggesting that interference crosses party lines and is multifaceted. From an intelligence perspective, Trudeau's cautious approach underscores the delicate balance between transparency and operational security. Intelligence collecting methods and the safety of sources are paramount. Revealing specific names without proper vetting could jeopardize ongoing operations and the integrity of our intelligence apparatus. This situation isn't unprecedented. Historically, intelligence agencies worldwide have grappled with the challenge of informing the public while protecting sensitive methods. Comparing this to similar incidences, such as Cold War espionage cases, we see a consistent theme: the need for discretion in intelligence matters to ensure long-term national security. The article highlights varied reactions from political leaders. Jagmeet Singh expressed heightened concern and accused Trudeau of prioritizing party protection over national security. Elizabeth May, from the Green Party, felt assured or reassured by the report, emphasizing a need to avoid any sort of a witch hunt atmosphere. Pierre Poilievre, from the Conservative Party, called for the public naming of implicated parliamentarians, leveraging parliamentary privilege as a safeguard. Trudeau and his public safety minister rejected this, citing national security risks. From the perspective of a retired intelligence professional, Trudeau's stance could be considered reflective of a strategic approach to protect intelligence sources and maintain operational integrity. While transparency is crucial, it must be balanced against the potential risk of national security. To summarize, Trudeau's comments on the NCCOP report highlight the complex nature of foreign interference in Canadian politics. The varied reactions from political leaders illustrate the delicate balance between transparency, public accountability, and national security. Looking ahead, we should expect continued scrutiny and debate over how to handle each type of sensitive information that goes through the government. The ongoing public inquiry led by Commissioner Marie-Josée Hogue will be crucial in providing clarity and direction. Our next article is from Reuters titled, "Russia Buying Spies to Make Up for Expelled Diplomats," German security agency says. The article reports that Russia has been ramping up its efforts to recruit German citizens as spies. This move comes as a direct response from the expulsion of approximately 600 Russian diplomats from Europe, a measure taken to curb Moscow's intelligence operations following the invasion of Ukraine. The German Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution, or the BFV, has highlighted that Russia is employing blackmail and substantial financial incentives to secure German informants. Two German nationals, charged with high treason last August, reportedly received around €400,000 for taking up the espionage activities. From an intelligence perspective, this illustrates a significant shift in Russian espionage strategy. With reduced diplomatic cover, Russian intelligence agencies are now forced to rely more heavily on local assets. This not only increases operational risk, but also underscores Russia's adaptability and resourcefulness in sustaining its intelligence operations abroad. Historically, Russia has maintained an extensive network of spies within Europe, often under diplomatic cover. The expulsion of 600 diplomats represents a substantial blow to their operational capabilities. However, the BFE's report indicates that Russian intelligence services are compensating for this loss by leveraging financial resources and coercive tactics to recruit new agents within Germany. This situation parallels other recent intelligence operations where countries have had to adapt to increased scrutiny and restrictions. For instance, after the Skripal poisoning in the UK, there was a notable increase in covert Russian activities in other European countries. Thomas Handelwang, the president of the BFE, has been vocal about the ongoing threats posed by Russian intelligence. At a recent press conference, Handelwang emphasized the financial depth of Russian espionage operations, noting that substantial agent fees highlighted by Moscow's continued commitment to its intelligence goals. From my professional standpoint, this development is alarming but not unexpected. The aggressive recruitment techniques, particularly targeting Germans with ties to Russia, indicate a well-resourced and determined adversary. The broader implications for national security are profound, as these efforts can lead to significant breaches of sensitive information and potentially destabilizing activities within Germany. To sum up, Russia's increased reliance on local spies following the expulsion of its diplomat underscores the evolving nature of global intelligence operations. As Western nations, including NATO, step up their counter-espionage measures, it's crucial for individuals and institutions to remain vigilant and informed about these persistent threats. Looking ahead, we can expect Russia to continue exploring innovative methods to circumvent restrictions and maintain its intelligence presence in Europe. Staying updated on these developments is key to understanding and countering such espionage activities. The next article we're discussing, entitled "Canada's Senate Passes Foreign Interference Bill, Now Awaits Royal Assent," from the National News. The Senate has just passed a pivotal government bill aimed at deterring, investigating, and punishing foreign interference. The bill is now awaiting royal assent, and it could have significant implications for our national security landscape. Let's break down what this means. The bill, approved late Wednesday, introduces criminal provisions against deceptive or surreptitious acts related to foreign interference. It also facilitates the sharing of sensitive information with businesses and establishes a foreign influence transparency registry. The registry would require certain individuals to register with the federal government to help guard against foreign meddling. From an intelligence perspective, this legislation is a critical step forward. Foreign interference isn't just a theoretical threat, it's a reality that many nations face today. By criminalizing deceptive acts and enhancing information sharing capabilities, Canada is fortifying its defenses against such threats. This bill isn't without controversy. Senators voted down an amendment aimed at ensuring innocent people are not wrongly implicated. Civil society groups have also voiced concern, arguing that the push to pass the bill, introduced less than 7 weeks ago, could result in flawed provisions that might violate individual rights. To provide some context, foreign interference often involves state and foreign entities employing individuals to advance their political goals without disclosing their affiliations. This kind of covert activity can undermine democratic processes and national security. Similar measures have been implemented in other countries, such as the United States Foreign Agency Registration Act, or FARA, which has been used to track and limit foreign influence. This isn't the first time Canada has had to address foreign meddling. There have been growing concerns about the alleged interference in Canada's Parliament and other democratic institutions. The new bill aims to tackle these issues head-on by increasing transparency and accountability. Experts have mixed views on this legislation. Some argue that the Transparency Registry is a necessary tool to combat foreign influence. Others, however, worry about the potential for overreach and the impact on civil liberties. These are valid concerns that need to be carefully considered as the bill moves forward. Drawing from experience, I believe this legislation is a step in the right direction, but it must be implemented with caution. The balance between national security and individual rights is delicate and requires ongoing scrutiny. To wrap up, the bill on foreign interference represents a significant development in the fight against covert foreign influence. With its strengths, our national security framework, it's essential to remain vigilant about this implementation to avoid unintended consequences. In this next article, we're discussing a significant development in Canada's approach to counterterrorism. Our topic is drawn from an article titled "Canada Lists Iran Revolutionary Guard as Terrorist Group" from Al Jazeera. On Wednesday, Canada officially listed Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist entity. This move aims to counter terrorist financing and sends a strong message about Canada's stance against Iran's unlawful action and support for terrorism. The decision to list the IRGC through a criminal code listing regime as a crucial step in Canada's broader efforts to combat terrorism. The IRGC has long been associated with terrorist entities such as Hezbollah and Hamas. This listing requires Canadian financial institutions to freeze any IRGC assets and prohibits Canadian citizens from engaging in financial dealings with the group. From an intelligence perspective, this designation is significant. It underscores the IRGC's role in destabilizing activities and human rights abuses. By targeting the financial networks supporting these activities, Canada aims to disrupt the IRGC's operations and limits its influence. Iran has condemned this move as politically motivated and has stated that it will not affect the Revolutionary Guard's power. However, the international community, particularly countries like the United States, which designated the IRGC as a terrorist group back in 2019, supports this approach. To provide some background, the IRGC is an elite branch of Iran's military, operating with considerable autonomy and answering directly to Iran's supreme leader. Relations between Iran and Canada have been strained for decades, especially after Ottawa cut diplomatic ties in 2012 due to Iran's nuclear program and support for the Syrian government. This relationship further deteriorated in 2020 after the IRGC shot down a plane carrying dozens of Canadians, citizens, and residents. This tragic incident highlighted the risk posed by the IRGC and added urgency to Canada's counterterrorism efforts. Dominic LeBlanc, Canada's Minister of Public Safety, cited Iran's human rights record and its destabilizing actions as key reasons for the decision. He emphasized that this move builds on Canada's broader efforts to hold Iran accountable for its support of terrorism. Foreign Minister Melanie Joly also urged Canadians not to travel to Iran, citing a heightened risk of arbitrary detention. This is a clear indication of the serious nature of the threat posed by the IRGC and the broader Iranian regime. To summarize, Canada's designation of the IRGC as a terrorist entity is a pivotal step in its fight against terrorism and its effort to hold Iran accountable for its actions. This move aligns with international efforts and sends a strong message about Canada's commitment to countering terrorist activities. In the future, we can expect increased scrutiny on financial transactions and further measures to counteract the IRGC's influence. It's essential to stay informed and vigilant as these developments unfold. That's a wrap for this week's episode of Global Intelligence Weekly Wrap-Up. Before we sign off, here's a few ways to stay connected and support our mission. Be sure to visit our website, globalintelligenceknowledgenetwork.com. It's packed with valuable resources, including insights, terminology, my media appearances, and dossiers on both foreign and domestic intelligence agencies. You'll also find a treasure trove of articles and blogs that dive deep into the intelligence world. Don't miss our YouTube channel, Inside Intelligence GIKN at Inside Intelligence GIKN. There, you can watch videos covering a range of topics like cryptocurrency and terrorism, situational awareness, ghouling, and our latest multi-part series, Killer Spies, The Dark Side of Intelligence. There's plenty of great content waiting for you. I'm also the co-host of another podcast, Spies Like Us, with retired CSIS intelligence professionals Al Tredenik and Phil Gursky. We explore current issues in the intelligence environment both in Canada and internationally. It's a fascinating listen, and I highly recommend that you tune in. Make sure to subscribe to Global Intelligence Weekly Wrap-Up. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or simply ask your smart speaker to play it. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a comment and share your thoughts. Lastly, if you'd like to support the show to help us continue delivering this content, consider becoming a supporter at buzzsprout.com/233-6717/support. Your contributions make a significant difference and help keep the lights on and the information flowing. Thanks for joining me this week. As always, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe. See you next time on Global Intelligence Weekly Wrap-Up.